Imagine launching your dream startup. You've got the ideas, you've definitely got the passion, but the funds, let's just say they're maybe not quite there yet.
Aspirational, maybe.
Exactly. So how do you get traction? How do you build momentum and actually grow when you can't just throw money at marketing?
Well, that often leads to a surprising answer, doesn't it? The power of community.
Right. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. This whole idea of building a thriving community when your startup budget is, well, zero.
Yep, we're looking at episode 8 of Building a Start to on $0 budget. The mission here is really to unpack how you can use community as your main growth engine when cash is tight or, non-existent.
Okay, so the episode kicks off talking about brand identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of us, that word immediately makes you think logos, colors, maybe fonts.
Sure, the visual stuff.
But it sounds like it's digging deeper, right?
Yeah.
Much more fundamental than just the visuals.
Oh, absolutely. Think of your brand identity more like the soul of your startup.
Yeah.
It's not just how you look, it's what you stand for. What are your core values? The things you won't compromise on? What's the real problem you're trying to solve for people? And maybe most importantly, what's the big mission that gets you and hopefully your first community members excited?
That makes sense. Getting that clear first seems foundational.
It is. Because that core understanding, that's what's going to attract your first real believers, your initial tribe.
And once you've got that clarity, internally, I guess, the episode really stresses being consistent in how you communicate it. Why is that so vital?
Well, put yourself in the shoes of someone just discovering you if your message is all over the place.
Yeah, confusing.
Right. But if your website, your social media posts, how you talk in emails or DMs, if it all sounds like you and reinforces the same core ideas, it builds a familiarity and trust.
It signals you're authentic, maybe, that you actually know who you are.
Exactly that. It makes the whole thing feel much stronger, more memorable.
It's kind of like building a personal relationship, isn't it? Consistency helps build that trust.
That's a great analogy.
And the episode mentions something practical, too, that even with zero budget, you can keep things looking consistent using free tools, like Canva, for instance.
Yes, which is great because it tackles that worry about looking, amateurish when you're just starting out.
Which is a huge concern.
Totally. Canva and other tools like it, they kind of democratize design. You can make things look visually cohesive, reinforce your brand, without needing to hire a designer right away.
And that attention to detail, even if it's DIY, it signals you care.
It really does. It shows a level of professionalism and care that resonates with people who might be thinking about joining your community.
Okay, so step 1, know who you are, what you stand for. Step 2, communicate that consistently using free tools to help. Now, the big one, how do you actually find these people and start building the community itself? They don't just magically appear, do they?
Hey, no, definitely not. It takes real, deliberate effort. Cultivation, as the episode puts it.
Cultivation, okay.
Yeah, you need to actively foster this shared sense of belonging, a common purpose. It's not just about collecting email addresses or followers.
You're building a space, like a virtual clubhouse.
Something like that, a place where people feel connected to each other and to your mission. And that starts with making the very first interaction feel welcoming, genuinely inviting.
So practically speaking, how do you create this welcoming space if you can't afford fancy community platforms or software? The episode mentioned free options.
Yes, and that's the beauty of the internet today, isn't it? You've got things like basic online forums, Discord servers, Slack communities, even simple Telegram or WhatsApp groups.
Right, lots of free channels.
These give you the basic infrastructure, a place for people to connect, ask questions, share ideas, build those relationships.
The key is picking the right one, I guess, where your people actually hang out online.
Exactly. You need to go where your potential early adopters already are. Don't try to force them onto a platform they don't use.
Makes sense. So, okay, you've set up your Discord server, your forum. It's there. But how do you stop it from being a ghost town? How do you get people talking, engaging, not just lurking?
The engagement challenge. This is where you really have to step up. The episode is clear. Building community isn't passive. It's an active verb.
So the founder needs to be in there, stirring the pot.
Pretty much. You need to be the catalyst, at least initially. Ask interesting questions, run quick polls. People love giving opinions. Maybe host live Q&A sessions using free tools like Google Meet or Zoom.
Just get the conversation started.
And keep it going. Consistently provide value. Make it a place worth visiting.
The episode also brought up sharing behind the scenes stuff. I think that was neat. Makes this startup feel more human.
Oh, totally. Sharing the journey, the ups, the downs, the small wins, the figuring things out moments, it makes you relatable.
People connect with that.
Absolutely. It lets your early members feel like they're actually part of the story, not just watching from the sidelines. And crucially, like the episode points out, this genuine interaction, it takes time, yes, but it's way more powerful than generic automated messages when you're bootstrapping.
That makes a lot of sense. It's investing time instead of money.
Precisely.
Now, something else the episode highlighted, which I found really smart, was using this community you're building as a direct line for product development, like a built-in focus group.
Yes, that's one of the biggest potential wins. Your early community members, they're your first users out there in the real world, kicking the tires.
So their feedback is gold.
Pure gold. They'll tell you what they love, sure, but more importantly, they'll show you where the friction is. The bugs, the confusing parts, the missing features, stuff you might be too close to see.
And the episode suggested practical ways to collect that, like setting up specific channels, maybe one for bug reports, one for feature ideas.
Exactly. Makes it organized and actionable. And it's not just about collecting it, it's about showing you're listening. Acknowledge the feedback, respond to it.
Maybe even involve them in testing new stuff, like a small beta group from the community.
Perfect example. That kind of involvement makes people feel incredibly valued. Like they're not just users, they're co-creators. That builds immense loyalty and ownership.
And that feeling of ownership, that's where the magic happens, right? The episode argues that this can naturally turn engaged members into your biggest champions, your brand ambassadors.
That's the goal. For a zero-budget startup, that's like hitting the jackpot.
Because they start spreading the word for you.
Organically. These are people who genuinely believe in what you're doing. They're invested. So they start telling their friends, their colleagues, posting about it online because they want to.
So you need to nurture that enthusiasm.
Definitely. The episode stressed that. Don't just take it for granted.
And it had some simple, low-cost ideas for that. Things like just publicly thanking active members, featuring their stories or testimonials, giving them sneak peeks or early access to things.
Small gestures that make people feel seen and appreciated. Special.
It also mentioned a simple referral program. Maybe like offer a small perk, like a free month if it's subscription-based, or some exclusive content for each new person they bring in.
Yeah, a really cost-effective way to basically incentivize that word-of-mouth marketing, get more people talking, amplify the buzz.
Because word of mouth, especially for new tech or startups, it's just so powerful, isn't it? The episode really hammered that point home. Trust matters so much.
It really does. Recommendations from people you actually know and trust, that cuts through all the noise.
Way more than an ad.
Miles more. That authenticity is something you just can't buy. Your community members offer that credibility. They reach people you might not reach otherwise, and their endorsement comes with built-in trust.
So this community becomes this incredibly powerful and essentially free marketing channel.
Exactly. Which raises a good question, though. How do you even measure the ROI on that kind of authentic advocacy? It's tricky.
Yeah, it's definitely not as simple as tracking ad clicks. But the episode seemed really clear that the long-term value is massive, even if it takes time and effort up front.
Oh, for sure. Especially when you have no other budget. It's a fundamental shift.
From just acquiring customers.
To building actual relationships. Genuine, lasting ones. You're not just chasing users, you're fostering a movement, really, creating something people connect with and want to be part of.
So, going back to the start, this community building, even though it costs time, not money, it's not just a nice to have.
No, if you have zero budget, it's pretty much essential. It becomes a cornerstone of how you grow sustainably.
Right. The core message seems to be, don't underestimate the power of people who believe in what you're doing.
Absolutely. Your first users, your early adopters, they're more than just potential revenue. They're your feedback loop, your potential ambassadors, your growth engine, all rolled into one. And it starts with simply building those connections.
So for anyone listening who's on that startup journey, maybe the question to mull over is this. What kind of community could you start building, literally today? With just the resources you have right now, what are those core values that would really attract your kind of people? It seems like it all starts there, with those first connections and just committing to building something valuable together.